the AirPods.
All you
they
need
make him
is
look like a doctor.
Google, right? Dr. Senator Frank Blas. I wouldn't want you as a doctor. You're one of those doctors that no sugarcoating it. Yeah, guess what? You're dying next week. Sorry, next. Senator Frank Blas, good morning.
Unmute.
Unmute, Senator.
It's a little early for him.
There you go.
How about now?
All right, on, yes.
All right.
Well, good morning,
Well,
Senator.
you know, if I was your doctor, it'd save you on deductibles.
Yeah, that's true. Senator, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Bree.
Hi.
Good morning, Jason.
How you doing?
So how was your weekend?
How was your weekend?
It was just another weekend.
Yeah.
How was your weekend, guys?
How was your
Just another weekend? Oh.
You first,
just
Senator. How was your
Sorry.
weekend? Were you out there partying with the British or what?
No. Stayed home. You know, my wife gave me enough chores to do.
There you go. There you go. So you're
Speaking of your wife,
Yeah.
is she gearing up to go to school?
She just left. She left about 20 minutes ago.
right. Yeah. The Senator Blas's wife is
Yeah,
a
she-
teacher
she-
up at Attica Elementary.
She leaves early. You know, she wants to get up there and get things done and get things ready. So,
Yeah.
but there's still, what do you call that? Online.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, she goes in, makes sure all the homework is inputted and stuff. And
Well, Senator, that you've been coming out with a lot of stuff, and so we wanted to bring you on here. I kind of wanted to start with this. I don't know how many letters you've written to the Attorney General, and this is relative to 3 letters to the Attorney General.
yes.
Let's go back to the beginning of the pandemic with Stargate, I like to call it. Pacific Stargate was kind of the big scandal with the quarantine facilities that were procured, we'll use the term loosely, by the governor's son-in-law, former legal counsel. So the public auditor, B.J. Cruz, came out with a scathing audit, basically said, oh, this is all kinds of red flag. And Senator Blas has been writing to the Attorney General 3 letters now saying, hey, if you saw this audit, there's got to be some stuff that's prosecutable there. And we even had that confirmed by the public auditor on this very show. Public auditor said, oh, yeah, there's some stuff there that they could definitely look at, right? And so that's what Senator Blas has been doing. He's been saying, hey, this audit, it's pretty questionable. Mr. AG, is there anything you can do with this? And so you got your letter back from the AG. What did he say?
I haven't gotten any letter back from the AG, and that's the concern that I have. I have had communications with his office, and I was in, on a number of issues that I've written the AG for, opinions for with regard to questions that I had with Guam law, but in particular with this incident, I was told, I think about 3 weeks ago, that he still hasn't had made up or come to an opinion or made up his mind with what action he's going to take, or if any action is going to be taken, and I'm a little perturbed at that. And so I said, look, thank you for calling, but can I get something in writing? And not even that in writing. That what other than saying, well, we received the letter and it's still under review. Okay, there have been many other instances that matters have come before the Attorney General after the OPA report was released, that the AG has jumped on and taken issue with, except this one. And so my third letter, the letter that I sent to him last week, was, come on, guy. I think that the OPA report in itself provided enough evidence, if you will, and information that it warrants some legal action, or at least the pursuit of legal action in these matters. As I stated, in my press release, First off, the OPA's got some. There's experts in there. There's individuals that that's what they do for a living. Is conduct audits, and as a result of those investigations that they conducted, combine that with BJ is a former Chief Justice, he's a former Speaker of the House. He's very knowledgeable of the law, and for him to put his signature on a report like this, you don't take that lightly. And that said, is that there were discrepancies that the audit had found in looking into the procurement that was conducted. Back in March of 2020, that I felt that the police office should look into the matter. And again, this is it's been quite some time, and so what are you going to do? What can be done? And then I'm waiting for him to reply.
So what happens? I mean, how much longer are you going to give him?
I think the people who want are waiting for him to reply.
Mm-hmm.
That's the question. Is how much longer can we provide before we take the next step, the next action? And that therein lies the next question. What action can we take? This is the office, the Attorney General's office, is the office that's elected to protect the people of Guam. So what now? I mean, if I obviously, in my capacity as a legislator, I don't have the authority, nor to be able to take it to investigate for legal action this case, or I can use the legislative process, but what's that going to do for this case? I think it's squarely on his lap. Yeah, and he has to do something about it. The other thing too is I've already had a very short conversation with BJ, that tend to have a little bit long this week. Is okay, now that you've gotten this kind of audit, or if you conduct another audit and you do find other discrepancies in other places involving other entities, what powers do you have, or what can we do legally to go after these individuals with the powers that you have or you don't have? Do we then look at providing or strengthening the authority that the OPA has to continue on with these investigations onto the onto the legal side, onto the prosecutorial side, if you will.
Right, Senator. How come you're the? I mean, what do you make of this? That you're the only senator who's written unless I missed it, who's written the AG on this? Because just to read the room, the reading I get is that we're talking about the governor's son-in-law. And it's very personal. Mm-hmm. It's a very personal thing for anybody, right? Anybody's son-in-law, right? It's very personal. Mm-hmm. And so by you writing these letters, it is what it is, though. I totally agree. I think that, son-in-laws, regular people, they all got to be held accountable. And this audit's findings, I think, it's a slam dunk, right? I don't get why the AG isn't moving forward, other than we hear he's got a relationship with him. But you're really attacking her son-in-law. And she takes things personal. So is that maybe why we haven't seen 15 other senators sign on to this thing? Because it's pretty black and white.
Well, first off, first off, I think the personalities of being prior law enforcement. A lot of times when you look into these cases and cases like this, it's best to take the personalities out. That way you remove yourself from the emotion and work just strictly on the facts. Now, if the facts take you to, towards individuals that, there are relationships, then so be it. That said, it's never been my, go after the governor's son-in-law. No, it's always been, these are discrepancies that have been identified by the Office of the Auditor. Obviously, there are some individuals that are involved. who these individuals are involved makes, for me, makes no relevance. And so move forward on it. I'm comfortable with that because, that's how I've investigated matters in the past. I've got that experience in those areas. I don't want to speak to why my colleagues, have not also written. They probably says, oh, well, Frank's got it. So, he's a big enough mouth as it is. Okay. So, we can let him have it because, the fact of the matter is I've been approached and I've had conversations with numerous colleagues on both sides of the aisle who says, Frank, you're right. I appreciate that you wrote to the AG's office. As a matter of fact, I was writing to the AG's, then when I saw you, I said, okay, let me back off. Like I said, I've had those kind of conversations. As for the others, I don't know. And I'm not going to speak to them, and it's not going to stop me from continuing. I think that at the end of the day, it's what has been contained in this report. It's these discrepancies that have been found. It's these violations of law that have been identified, and something's got to be done about it. And if it takes me to write a 4th, 5th, 6th letter, I'll continue to do that. But at the same time, let me look at other avenues too, of how this can be done. If he does not want, I hate to say this, but very bluntly, if he does not want to do his job.
Because this is your 3rd letter, and the fact that the AG's office did provide guidance to the governor's legal counsel, the likelihood that anything will be done doesn't appear to like it's really going to happen.
Well, really what he could, what could be done is basically appoint a special attorney general, special prosecutor, outside of, his office, to be able to move forward. I mean, it's been done before. There has been precedents been set. There have been other matters that have come before, not this attorney general, but the attorney general's office, where they've said, okay, this is a little bit too close to our house. We're going to have somebody else investigate it. Now, that said, that's it. Okay, as you had said, Chris, earlier, that the information is actually factual, that there is a very close relationship that the attorney general has with the attorney in question in the procurement. That said, that's not any reason, first off, why you should just put this aside. Stepping aside is one thing, putting it aside is another. And here in this case, it appears like he's putting it aside. What are we waiting for? It could be, something's got to get done.
You said other avenues, right? What other avenues are you talking about? Because you've written the 3 letters to the AG. What other things can we do?
Legislative oversight. To look into the matters. It brings it into the court of the legislature. That's one of the things that's one of the ways that we're exploring in as far as options. Another one is looking to the federal government. Looking to the federal authorities and hoping to make a case there so that they can take it on. But when you do that, it basically puts a black mark, because on the attorney general, because then the question will be asked, well, why hasn't he done it? And that's when you say, well, look into the relationship that he has with this attorney. That's probably where it's at. Is that necessary? But again, that's another option. I don't know. Or
I mean, that last oversight hearing, Senator,
to do his job.
the last oversight hearing on this was like, oh boy. Remember that when they tried to have an oversight hearing on this?
Yeah, and it was they couldn't speak because of attorney-client privilege.
Right. Yeah.
The AG's office.
Sure. And for other reasons. And I really, really hate to say it. I was really pondering, on what other excuses or what other reasons may exist for the lack of action that we're seeing from the Attorney General's office. And I hate to say this, but you compare this to a lot of other matters that are not just before the people of Guam here, but even in the United States, throughout the United States, it's okay. These people don't want to do anything. They're elected officials. They don't think anything's going to happen. So, what? Because they're in positions of power, just let it slide and the election's too far away for it to be a concern. I put it up, so there are some people that is going to go ahead and do these actions because they're now in the position of power. What can the people do except raise Cain? But I don't want to go that route, and we shouldn't have to be able to. Right? And for people in power, for lack of a better term again, it shouldn't be that your jobs are threatened, that nobody is going to, that you're going to lose the election should you not do this. We just want you to do your job.
Senator, there was something else that I
want
want
as subtle as I can there, now.
Yeah, there was something with I want to say it was like vaccinations, Bree, and Department of Labor had come out. Was that your bill?
There was some lag on the feed. Can you say
Right,
maybe
yeah.
ask?
So
He's talking about the bill that you introduced
Thank you.
regarding vaccinations and mandatory vaccinations. I guess within the government, the governor being able to use our emergency powers to mandate them, but that the vaccine must be fully approved by the FDA. Was that your bill?
Okay, I think there were actually two bills. That one was 176, where what it does was it amends the Emergency Power Act with regard to vaccinations, and so I put the language in there. Basically, Governor, you do have the power, the ability to be able to mandate vaccinations in the cases of public health emergencies. However, the amendment to that law is that the vaccinations that can be mandated must be unconditionally approved by the Food and Drug Administration. You can't mandate vaccinations that are emergency use authorized. It has to get the full approval of the FDA. That's Bill 176. Bill 181 provides that employers, if you're going to mandate vaccinations, first off, there has to be some options and some alternatives that you can be provided to an employee. And if that employee refuses, or that employee wants to exercise those options, that you cannot take any legal or any action against that employee. Bill 181 was more of a pause, if you will. With the vaccine mandates, and saying that employers, you're going to have to start to do this. There's some people that can argue this as, well, there's nothing that mandated an employer to do this. It's just, well, look at all the restrictions that you put on the business. If the employees or the business does not follow the vaccine mandates, so it is a mandate. It's not asking, you're telling them to do this. However, if you're going to start to do this, you got to recognize that there are some conversations that you got to have with your employees. You got to recognize that there's going to be a point in time where you're going to have to accept some liability If you're going to mandate on this employee, should something occur, what will happen to these employees while following your mandates? And so, I suggest put a hold first off on what you want to do. Let as a community, let's think this over. Let's think this through. Before we start to go down this road of having to mandate this and mandate that, because then, what happens next? Where are we going to go to next? Earlier before we came on, one of the discussions was, okay, we've gotten to herd immunity, so now what it is? Oh, we're going to get back to, whether you're vaccinated or unvaccinated, you're going to get COVID now, and we're just going to have to start to tolerate it. Well, maybe we should start to look at other actions, at other activities. One of the things I found very interesting, Chris and is that almost all of the deaths that have occurred as a result of COVID, it was always with an underlying medical condition. It's always been with a comorbidity. Why haven't we been attacking that? Why haven't we been asking that, okay, as a result of these comorbidities, which, and there have been, studies that the Center for Disease Control and the National Institute of Health, as well as, with the FDA, on COVID deaths, related to, or comorbidities related to COVID deaths. Why haven't we started to look into and educate the community about what those comorbidities are and start to work on reducing those comorbidities, in the community and amongst individuals, so that if they do contract COVID, there's one less medical issue to be concerned about that can really cause severity or even death with this individual. Yeah. So going back to what these bills basically provide us, can we start to look at what the number of different options are? Because that said, is if you follow the science and you follow the information that's being provided about COVID and its mutation, there's some concern with regard to the mutations that are occurring after Delta, and whether or not these mutated variants, whether or not these are effective toward it. That's still being studied. That said, it's already now with the Delta variant, you can still get it. You can still contract it. You can still spread it, and unfortunately, you can still succumb to it. But you're gonna succumb to it because you complicated the matter with a comorbidity. So why aren't we working towards identifying and addressing
Senator,
comorbidity?
are you saying, like, instead of restrictions on the unvaccinated, that we make it so that, if you're diabetic you can't dine in, or if you have
No. I think if you're a diabetic or you got high blood pressure, please take the time, take the necessary precautions so that you can reduce this. Right. Okay. Yep. So that if you go to the restaurant, instead of eating the pork belly, you can eat the salmon.
Eat the pork belly, but get brown rice, guys. Senator,
just line things up. My version of brown rice is Diamond G cow roast with soy sauce.
Real quickly, Senator, because we're running out of time, can you give us more information about the Tarp resolution?
The Tarp resolution is TARP stands for Tourist Attraction Rescue Plan. And after discussions that I've had, I, along with other senators, namely Tony Adak, Chris Duenas, Joe San Augustine, and Jim Moylan, we've had conversations with members of the tourist business, the tourist community, and they're really suffering. They've got here. First off, tourism is makes up 60% of our economy, and it behooves us that we try to keep the wheel greased and oiled, so that when tourism does come back, when tourists are allowed to start to come back, that they're not just coming back to South Center, because they can get that almost everywhere. As a matter of fact, that's what every other tourist destination is also advertising. But what are those attractions? What are those places that these people are going to say, Guam is the only place where you can go to Valley of the Lati. Guam is the only place you can go to Atlantis Submarine. Guam is the only place you can go to Fisheye Park, or Lupe Beach Club. Some of these other places, and although there have been federal programs and other cares or RP programs that provide business assistance, it only goes so far. And a lot of these businesses, first off, when you've got an industry where about 70% of its vendors and its venues have been shuttered, hoping one day to be able to reopen, and then the other, you've got some of them that have closed permanently, and the ones that are remaining open are still operating at a loss. It's being able to provide them that funding that's necessary so that they can keep themselves sustained and keep the people that their employees that they have continually employed, but keep that wheel greased. Keep so that when tourists do come back, it's not a matter of relearning or dusting off the cobwebs. They can hit the ground running. So the Tarp resolution requests that the governor, through the number of federal fundings that Guam has since received, which according to government administration officials, was close to about $3.5 billion. Taking some of that money and being able to put it back into our tourist related industry, vendors that work directly and in some cases in the tourist industry that also that also cater not just to tourists but to our local residents as well, and the members of the military that are here help to provide them some of that money so they can keep them going. So there was discussions with regards to how much that we're going to ask for. So in the spirit of being able to work together with other agencies, I mean with the government entities and stuff, what we've been asking, what we've asked for in this resolution was at least $60 million to help them. Now, mind you, this is not $60 million that's going to a business owner. No, this is $60 million going into a business that can help employees continue to remain employed, the business to remain open for not just tourists to enjoy, but locals to enjoy. But then further is that when the tourists come back, they're still around.
Thank you, Senator.
That's what Tarp's for.
There you go. Thanks for coming to our Tarp TED Talk.
Yeah. I did a lot of talking, didn't I?
You did. We're good. You good, Senator? Be safe.
Hey, thanks, guys.
You're right.
Thank
Be a
you.
rebel. Don't get COVID.
Guys, be safe.
Right on. 742.
Stay safe.
Yeah, if that's their plan is to just let it go and let everyone catch COVID, I ain't doing it. At 742, we're coming back with Mayor Jesse Allig, as the mayors have now been enlisted in the fight against the coronavirus. We'll tell you all about it.
Also,
Guadalupe,
they just issued Public Health Guidance 23 and 24